Good morning, fam. How you doing? I'm so glad to see all of your faces. And so you realize, of course, that we will be doing some singing together. And so because that's just how I roll. So you're just going to repeat after me. Are you ready? Not yet. Every day when I rise, I wake up so grateful. When I open these eyes, grateful for another day. So let's try to do that whole thing together. Every day when I rise, I wake up. No, sing it with me. I wake up so grateful when I open these eyes. When I open these eyes, grateful for another day. Grateful for another day. Here we go. Every day when I rise, you can clap with me. I wake up so grateful when I open these eyes. When I open these eyes, grateful for another day. Sing louder. Every day when I rise, I wake up so grateful when I open these eyes. When I open these eyes, grateful for another. One more time with feeling. Every day when I rise, I wake up so grateful. I wake up so grateful when I open these eyes. When I open these eyes, grateful for another day. Right? Now, it is just so important. And today, I'm really glad to be here with you today. Today is the anniversary of my father, Frank's passing. Yeah, my dad was a cool guy. He, first of all, he was the dad of five, the oldest of five. So I am indeed the boss of all of my siblings. And here is a man who was, my dad was raised in South Carolina, which was one of the worst states to be in if you were an enslaved person in the Deep South. My grandfather, my daddy's daddy, was a minister and a Baptist minister. And when he would, let me get, he tried to get all the people in our little bitty town to really think about what it would mean to be treated as a real person. And so my dad was the oldest boy of 14. 14. And the clan would come to their shack, and my grandmother would herd all the kids to the back of the shack. But my dad and my Uncle AC would sneak and look out the front. And there would be my grandfather standing on the porch with all of these people on horses with hoods and and all of those things right in front of him. And here's the thing that was so incredible about my dad and my mother as well, is that despite all of this, they did not let themselves be ruled by hate. They always led with their heart. Always. And now realize I buried my daddy in 2014. He was only born 60 years after the signing of the Emancipation. That's how close this is. Hmm? And one of the things that got my mama and daddy through, my mother was born in New York City, so I am half Filipino, half black from my mama, whose name was June Gloria, and they met singing. My mom and daddy met singing, and my dad was tall, and my mom was like this, and they met singing, and they met in this way. Daddy was singing behind mama, and my mother turned around and said, "You are singing too loud." And my dad was like, it was over right then and there. I knew she was the one. And they met singing. Met singing. My mother was one of the first Black women offered a full vocal scholarship to Juilliard in the 40s. And I'm exactly like her. She did not take it because she didn't want anybody to tell her when, what, where, or how to sing. She just wanted to sing. And all the time I was in music school, I completely tortured my professors because I did things, I paid for it. I wanted to do it how I wanted to do it, just like my mama. And my daddy was a tenor. My mom was a first soprano. And my voice is actually lower than lower than my dad's. I'm a female bass. And music was always, I'm the oldest of 5 children. Um, and so all of my siblings today, we're all thinking about my dad. And one of the things that I have done with my music over the years is when my sister Drina passed, she was my middle sister. I sat up with her for 5 nights and 6 days, and I sang to her until she took her last breath. It was just what I could do. So that music has always been there. And when I was a kid, my mom and dad started one of the first Black theater companies in Anchorage, Alaska in the 60s. Right? I mean, come on. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? My father joined the military to get us out of the South Bronx, which is where I was born. He hated it the whole time he was in it. But he knew, him and my mom said, we got to get our kids out of here. And here's how, and here's when I think about this, I was with my partner, I was visiting my Aunt Ruthie, and this is how things are. You never know how there but for the grace of God go I. So I'm there at my Aunt Ruthie's house, me and Sonia, we're there. There's this picture on the table. I'd never been to my Aunt Ruthie's house before. And Sonia says, I thought you said you've never been here. There's this picture. I'm looking at this picture. I'm like, okay, I don't know any of those people, but that sure looks like me. And I mean, I'm like, what's happening here? And Aunt Ruthie says, oh, no, that's your cousin. I mean, spitting image. I said, wow. And she said, well, she just lives around the corner. This was in the Bronx, Brooklyn. And so we went around the corner. She opens the door, and it's like looking in a mirror. She's 10 years younger than me, looking in a mirror. And here's the thing. Uncle Bubba, I didn't realize his name was James until Culture Heritage Choir was doing a concert at Carnegie Hall, and Aunt Ruthie said, James, let's go. I said, who's James? She said, that's Uncle Bubba. I said, his name is James. Anyway, so we opened the door, we're there, and my mom and dad got to the military, dragged us all out of the South Bronx. Uncle Bubba's kids did not leave. I'm looking at my cousin who was a recovering crack addict. That could have been me. There but for the grace of God go I. And my father and my Uncle Bubba actually drove her back to South Carolina to try to keep her from going back down that track. And my older cousin was in another bedroom, completely gone. Completely gone. And I realized what my father and my parents had done and what they had done. My dad, 2 tours in Vietnam, a MASH in Korea. When he joined the military, he joined in the last all-colored unit before the Army was completely desegregated. And I realized, I thought, I'm looking, this could be me. It could be me. And so there, it was like sacrifice and song kind of like saved my little nappy-headed self. And when we were in Alaska, my mom and dad, they knew I liked music, so they sang in the Anchorage opera chorus and all this other stuff. And so they would drag me to rehearsals. They didn't drag me. I actually wanted to go. And one day I'm there at rehearsal with the opera chorus, and they're there, and there's this woman up there. And my mom says to me, she says, now, honey, you need to really pay attention. This person is important to us. I'm like 10. You know how it is when you're a kid. Yeah, well, okay, cool. Who's that? Mom said, that's Marian Anderson. Now, then I was like, okay. But later on, I was like, okay. Right? To have that kind of experience, Mom and Daddy sang at home all the time. to the embarrassment of many of us, because you know how it is when you're a kid, you're like, oh man. And they would wake up in the morning and they would be singing together and all this stuff. When as you get older and a teenager, you're like, really? You know, my mother she would walk in if she didn't have to go, if we didn't have to go to school, but she had to go to work, Mama would walk in, flip on all the lights in the bedrooms, and go, good morning, children. And we're like, really, Mom? She's like, if I have to get up, you have to at least wake up and say good morning. I mean, she would sing and do all this other stuff. And, we're just like, but that was how I was brought up. We didn't have much, but we had everything. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have much, but we had everything. And they would just sing. And the very first funeral I sang at was my mother's when I was 19 years old. 19 years old. But she gave me a lot in those times. She was 43 when she died. 43. Beautiful singer. She would leave notes on the fridge that would say things like, okay, you are lucky enough to have each other as sisters and brothers. Please treat each other with respect. That kind of like corny stuff. That was my mama. That kind of corny stuff. And the night before she died, I knew that was her last day. She died of breast cancer. She was diagnosed in 1970. They didn't know nothing. She died in 1973. And that's kind of like, and I wrote this song called Lady of Peace that I sang for her, which is on one of my albums. I don't remember, Share My Song. I think it's on that one. And I knew the night before that that was her last night. And so I sang that song for her at her funeral. She was about this far away from me in the casket. My dad, after Mama died, for 4 months he did nothing but cry, but he made no sound. Tears just fell out of his eyes. Just fell out of his eyes. And so I had to make all of the arrangements because he was a mess. And my mother knew it. She had left me a letter almost a year before. And when I opened that letter on the day that she died, it was as if she was talking to me. It was in present tense. Your father is this is what your dad is doing right now. Go here, call here. So I did all the calls. I did all of that. And to this day, my mama is still growing me. You know what I'm saying? My mama is she still sings to me. And so Mama died August 8th. I had just turned 19 in June. And I knew then, because my dad couldn't believe that I could actually sing this song, but it was why I'm here. It's why I'm here. The voice as a tool for healing. That's it. And singing for my sister Drina when she died. It was what I could do. It was what I could do. And as Drina was standing there, she was my middle sister, pediatric oncology nurse. She was on the first nursing staff at Santa Rosa Hospital, which was the first hospital in the United States that allowed parents to stay in the hospital with their kids with cancer. This is in San Antonio, Texas. And she had the biggest set of dimples you ever saw in your life. I mean, you could like swim in those dimples. If there was water in there, you could swim in them dimples. She was amazing, my middle sister. And to have the privilege of using my voice, because what else could I do? And there was a point at which I was just with her. And here's the thing. She had the worst case of MS they'd ever seen. She was diagnosed, and within 1 week, she never walked again, and she died in 9 years. But I'm there on the last day of her life. She could barely move before she died, and there she is. She's doing this, lying on, her arms are moving, her legs are moving. She is absolutely dancing. She is in that place between here and there where she is no longer encumbered by this body. And I watched her. I watched my sister just begin to dance. And the song, Spirits made a place for you where everything is new. And this is coming to me. I'm watching my sister. And she's just, love has made a place for you where everything is new. And I realized, I thought to myself, you know, I'm going to miss you, but you're going to be released from this. And I'm watching her dance. And I realized that there were times I had to leave the room because her spirit, her energy was so much bigger, and I needed to get out the way. Grace has made a place for you where everything is new. And at one point, I looked at Ree, which is what we call her, and I realized that she needed me to be in the room, but she needed me to have my back to her. And I turned around, and then there was, and I just imagined her just released from all of that pain. And the blessing to be able to sing her home was absolutely extraordinary. It was just absolutely extraordinary. And she loved music. Oh, Lord, have mercy. And she loved show tunes. And she would call me up because I was living here. She's living in San Antonio. She would call me up and she'd say, I just need to hear a friendly voice. And so I would sing to her, I would read to her. And then when I would go and visit, I would go, and the first thing we would do when I would go to visit her in San Antonio, I'd go to her house. I'd wheel her into the shower. We'd get all undressed. We'd get in the shower. I would get her into the chair. She would lean against me, and I know I'd wash her hair. And then I'd grease her up head to toe. And we would talk about everything. Then dry her up. Then we would go, I'd take her to her bed, and I would sit behind her. And then she would lean her chest back, lean her head back here, and then we would just talk and do all that stuff. That's what I would do with my sister. And her best friend was our little sister, Karen, who they ended up living together towards the end of her life. I used to tease her. I said, Drina, when Karen was being born, you had your nose pressed up the thing going, is she here yet? Is she here yet? They were like this. I feel really blessed to be able to have spent that time with her, you know? And we have these things in our life, you know, where we think that we can change things. You can't. You can't always change things. There's not enough money in the world to change things. But the one thing that we can do is just decide, okay, I'm going to sit there or stand there. I'm going to be there with you, no matter what. No matter what. No matter what. It's the best thing we can do for each other. Is just be there. That's why we're on the planet. You know what I'm saying? Please nod your head. Mm-hmm. Go, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Look at each other. Mm-hmm. Why are we here? Why are we here? We're part of the whole human tribe. And we have this thing here in the US, right? Completely wrong. That rugged individual bootstrap thing. It's crazy. We're tribal. We cannot survive without each other. We can't. I don't care what you say. People say, oh, no, I don't need anybody. I'm like, did you make every single thing that you're wearing? Did you? Did you do that? No. We need each other. And this was a thing I learned from my mom and my daddy and my sister. That I cannot survive on this planet without you. And you see what's happening now. If we're not all in this together, stuff is just bad and raggedy. I remember coming home one day and I had, oh, it was a horrible, horrible time. And this white guy just spit in my face and called me all kinds of things. And I went home, I was furious. And my mother she said, sit, calm down. And I was like, I hate every white person I see. Mama said, you can't do that. I said, that's what they do to us. So that's an individual person who did something like that. You need to stop. You can be angry at that person, but that doesn't represent every single person. Well, that's exactly the way they think about us. And when you're a teenager, you're just like balled up with that. And this was the way that my mom would talk to me and talk to all of us. She said, if you want to walk in the world to be seen who you really are, you got to also realize that other people are being seen as who they really are. And sometimes she said, you have to remember that they can try to mess with you and all, but they cannot get to who you really are deep in your heart. And that's exactly what I think. Right here in that place that connects all of us. And I used to think, all of that stuff was hoo-ha, but I lived in Taos, New Mexico. Anybody familiar with Taos? Taos, New Mexico, way up there. It's about 45 minutes from the Colorado border. It's one of those places where they have it's places of energy. There's Machu Picchu and there's a Great Pyramid. And oddly enough, there's Taos, one of those Taos. And so when I lived up there, I was born and raised in the South Bronx. So, right? I'm like, yeah, really. So anyway, and they said, you have to, this is a place where it has earth energy. I'm like, what? What are you talking about, earth energy? They said, come on, we're going to go up to Paradise Peak, which is this place up there. You go up there and we'll look at the curly aspens. I said, no, aspens are supposed to be bone straight. And they said, yeah, but you can see along the earth energy, you can follow the trail. I'm like, I'm there. And all of a sudden, we see all these straight, and you see these curly aspens, and you could literally see this trail. And I thought, well, okay, all right, that's interesting. And then the harmonic convergence happened. Remember that harmonic convergence? I think it's 1984. And so we're there in Taos and Spiral Lake. Literally, if you stand up at the top of the thing, there's a lake. There's an arroyo that is dried in the thing of a spiral. This kind of stuff happens in Taos all the time. So I was there, and we're there. Sun's coming up on the day of the harmonic convergence. I'm standing there. Mind you, I don't do any mind-altering drugs or anything like that. I'm standing there. There's all kinds of folks, as many folks as there can be in Taos, New Mexico. And, we have everybody's there and all this stuff. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, the sky, of course, it's, crystal blue like it is in New Mexico, but the sky turns this incredible, like ebony black, just gleaming and shining. And there are all like zillions of gold points of light everywhere. And I'm literally going, anybody else seeing this? I mean, literally, my eyes are open and I'm seeing all of this. And there's like zillions of people for as far as my eye can see. And there is this grid of golden grid threads that are going through the hearts of zillions of people. I'm like, okay. And there are places in the grid that are threadbare, but no place is it broken. And you see these pulses of light going from one person to the next, right? So like the places where there are weak spots, there was this other energy from other beings going into that. And I realized, I thought, oh, that's us. And the idea that there are places that are threadbare, but nowhere is it broken. And then that vision went away, and all of a sudden it's just blue sky and everybody else there. And I was just like, ah, that's it. That all of us right here, and if you're having a little time and you feel a little peckish and things ain't feeling right, we're sending you a little bit of love. And the thing is, you don't have to do anything to earn it. It just is. And this is what I realize. And that's what I think about music is part of that thing that goes out and energizes the whole world. Nod your head. Mm-hmm. Nod your head. That's good. So let's sing this song. And let's think about sending this song out. It's called Sending You Light, a song that I wrote. Um, and just think about people out there in the grid who might need a little extra love from us. Just a little extra love. Which if you're a living, breathing creature on this earth, that's pretty much everything on the planet at this point. And it's very simple. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. That's it. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. Now, don't be afraid to harmonize. Don't be afraid to harmonize. And there's only one qualification that you need to have in order to sing with me. You just got to be breathing. So just throw your head back and sing. And I want you to see those folks. Every single one of you, please include yourself, needs to be held in song. Nod your head. Nod your head. And it is medicine and food and nourishment. Because you know there are a lot of empty calories out there, right? A lot of stuff that ain't good for you. But this is good for you. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. No matter what you feel or what you choose to show, I'm always there for you. And so I want you to know that we are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sent to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. No matter where you go, no matter where you've been, you'll never walk alone. I feel you deep within. So we are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. I walk the path with you. Go slow, dear one. Don't hurry. I'll go just like you need to go. There is no need to worry. 'Cause we are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. We are sending you light to heal you, to hold you. We are sending you light to hold you in love. Oh, you sound good, choir. You sound good. You sound good. Yeah, so all through all my life and my musical life, this is where I've come to at this point of using my voice. I call myself a vocal activist. That means I'm using my voice as a weapon of mass connection. and to help us get in touch with that. If you remember when you were a kid, just your mama and daddy or your guardian, whoever's looking after you, humming a little something, it just made you feel better. And you think about those songs that when you hear them, even now, when you hear them, it makes you feel like yourself. You go, oh yeah, I recognize that. That's the power of song. That's the power of music. And I get to be out there in the world doing all kinds of stuff in all kinds of ways. Just this week, mind you, in the last couple of weeks, I did a stick pounding graduation ritual and music thing with incarcerated folks at San Quentin. That was a couple of days ago. Yesterday, I did an all-day singing workshop, singing and rhythm, body percussion, stick pounding workshop with music teachers. So I'm with you today. Tomorrow, I'm doing Yom Kippur for Oakmont shul. I am an honorary member of 2 different shuls in the Bay Area. Yes, I'm going to be spending time with my Jewish mishpucha tomorrow, and so I'm doing that tomorrow. All of these things are very different. And then I'm heading out to Colorado, to Denver, to work with the Denver Women's Chorus and teach some classes at the University of Colorado in Denver. Then they're picking me up, taking me to Colorado Springs, where I'm going to be doing a community sing and doing a symposium on the arts and grief. Then I will get on a bus. I will fly to Memphis, get on a bus in Mississippi, go for about 5 days in Mississippi, co-leading a group of people who are doing a pilgrimage on the civil rights thing. All of this happens between now and October 18th. Yes. I just got back from Taos about 3 weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, doing the Women Singing in Circle, which is a 6-day women singing retreat with wonderful people like Kate Munger, founder of the Threshold Choirs. If you're not familiar with Threshold Choir, please check it out. We have almost 300 Threshold Choirs now all across the planet. Kate Munger, who lives in Inverness, who started this movement. And if you are a member of Threshold Choir, you got family all across the planet. We have wonderful Sending You Light. That be one of the songs that folks learn. But so Kate Munger, Terry Garthwaite, you familiar with Terry Garthwaite? Joy of Cooking. Yeah, she's one of our people that does Women Singing in Circle, along with Becky Reardon, who is a Taos composer, singer, musician. So that's where I was in New Mexico not very long ago. So I get to do what I get to do everywhere with all different kinds of folks. And here's the thing that I've been talking with a lot of choirs as I got to conduct the Minnesota All-State Mixed Choir. Every state has like an all-state choir. It's a big hoop-de-doo thing, the kids can read and do everything, they can read music while skateboarding and eating a sandwich and making a pizza. They're like just ridiculous musicians. So I was with the Minnesota All-State Choir. And it was wonderful working with youth. And then for 9 years, I was the conductor of the Oakland Community Children's Choir. 428 first, second, and third graders. Take a moment. That's a lot of little kids. 21 years at St. Paul's School teaching a cappella singing and body percussion for 6th graders. Take a moment. Yes. 10 years with the Oakland Youth Chorus, ages 14 to 21-year-olds with all of them. And I've been the master teaching artist in music at UC Berkeley for about 25 years. working with Cal Performances and their educational outreach. So I get to do a lot of really cool stuff. And every day, I am grateful for what I get to do. Grateful for another day, every day, that this is what I get to do. And I think about my mama and daddy every single day. And right now, I'm going to sing you one of my daddy's, actually, both of their favorite songs. So just bear with me while I get my guitar. And also Drina's, too. It's a family song. I also had the pleasure of being a Redwood recording artist, which was Holly Near's label. Yes, modern technology. So I toured on the women's circuit for years. Uh, that was really fun on Another Life right there. Everybody can hear that all right? So this was my mama, my daddy's, and my sister. This was kind of like a family song. They all love this song. Okay. And it's funny, I'm just now remembering that I sang this song on the day my dad died. And that we buried my dad. I forgot, I just sang this. And a quick story before that, my little brother, whose name is Eric, he's the youngest. My mom used to call us her Alpha and Omega. And we call Eric the Wall because he's like 51-inch chest. This is a large person, like 3 people crammed into one. On the day that we buried my dad, we were all there at the house. You know, people come to your house and uh, and all that. And so I was staying with my sister Karen, and I went into the room I was sleeping in, and just for a break. Pretty soon, I hear a knock on the door. Here comes Karen. Hi, Mel. Okay, she coming. Here comes Kenny. Hi, Mel. Okay. Here comes Eric. Hi, Mel. So what's can you make these people go? And I said, yes. So, we packed up the food and we sent people off. And then um, people are going their separate ways. So Karen goes off with a cousin. Kenny goes off with his wife. Eric is there with me because his wife did not come, which is just fine with me. That's another story. Anyway, so I looked at Eric and I said, Eric, I said, why don't you take me to your favorite place? And he said, just me and you? And I said, yeah. So he took me to his favorite bar or something, and we went. And I left when he was about 11. And so this is a large person. So I said, Eric, so what did you play football in high school? And he said, no. He said, because his best friends are our cousins and they're all like football coaches. They all play football. He said, I didn't want to. So I told Dad, I said, Daddy, I don't want to play football. And Daddy said, then you don't have to. So I said, Eric, what did you do? He said, for 2 years I was in the Texas All-State Boy Choir. He said, I wanted to be you. I had no idea that he sang in the choir. And he did theater. My little brother. I had no idea. He said, I just wanted to be you. And we're talking, I'm looking around. I said, Eric, what is going on here? He said, well, it's a karaoke bar. I said, pick a song. He said, wait, what? He said, pick a song. And we'll sing together. He said, just me and you? And I said, just me and you. He picked Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. And we sang together, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. He was like, the photograph, he could not be smiling any bigger. He said, he kept saying, just me and you? And I said, just me and you. And then he asked me to sing another song by myself. And, he's really big. So they said, okay. And this was the song. Somewhere over the rain, way up high, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. Somewhere over the rain, skies are blue, and the dreams that you dare to dream really do come true. Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's where you find me. Somewhere over the rain, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? Someday I'll wish upon a star and wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where troubles melt like lemon drops away above the chimney tops. That's when you find me. Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly, birds fly over the rainbow. Why then, oh, why can't I? If happy little bluebirds fly beyond the rainbow, why, oh, can't I over the rainbow? Oh yeah, that was quite a day. And that day of singing with my baby brother, The Wall, and singing that song, that was a favorite of all of my family. This is time for questions. You may ask me any questions that you like. And then we'll close out with another song at the very end. So we got microphones coming. You can ask me anything about anything, any way. I'm serious. You can ask me anything. Don't be scared.
Outstanding. Thank you so
Oh,
much, Melanie.
You're welcome.
It's not our typical Oakmont presentation, for sure, but you have enriched us. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
And I'm going to start with the first question.
Sure.
You are described on your website, at least, melaniedemore.com.org.
.com, which I never pay attention to it, so, but it's
Anyway.
there. Yeah.
You're described as a vocal activist. Can you tell us a story of how you brought disparate peoples together with song?
Well, you know, it's funny. I had gotten a call from the University of Eastern Tennessee, and it was really kind of interesting. They said, "We need you to come to our campus." I'm like, "Tennessee, okay, all right." And they said we had a rally, a Black Lives Matter rally, and a white male student came dressed in a gorilla costume with bananas and carrying nooses and freaked out our entire campus. They said, "We need you to come." And I thought, okay. So I went and I set up a whole bunch of like open mic things with poetry and all of these kind of things. So I'm there doing all of these stuff with these university students. And then they had me sing in this festival, an Emoja Festival, which is one of the Kwanzaa words. Emoja means unity. And so they had this big festival, and I'm down here in Tennessee, mind you. This is like 2018. So, you know, things are a little weird. And I'm walking down the street, and there's this guy, this white guy, snarly looking. I mean, comes up snarly at me and looks like, you know, and I'm like, okay, here we go. And he says, "Didn't you write that song, Lead with Love?" And I went, "Yeah, I like that song." I thought, why is he so mad? But he was like, who knew? He'd seen the video. And this is a guy that looked like not what I expected. That's the thing. And that's when you realize you're a vocal activist. When that music hits you, he said, "I like that song." I'm like, okay. And so that whole thing about music reaching to people that you never think. And that was such an experience for me.
Would you sing it now?
Oh, no, we're going to do it at the end. We're going to do it at the end. We're doing it at the end.
Melanie, thank you so much. Your voice is so moving. It moves me to tears,
Oh, thank you.
actually. You
Is that-
can't hear?
There you go.
There we go. I was just thanking Melanie for her wonderful voice and how it moves me to tears. I'm a singer also, and I wonder if you have any kind of a warm-up routine or exercises that you do. I've found that since I moved to California, there's a lot of trees and bushes here that are causing me allergies, and that gets inside of my throat. So do you have any feedback on that?
I first of all, I have every allergy in the book. 'Tis the season to be sneezing pretty much all the time for me. But one of the things that I do is I actually don't have any formal warm-ups that I do. I just kind of sing. Um, I you know, I have a whole workshop on warm-ups that I do for choirs and everything else. But I just kind of like sing. And then when I'm not singing, somebody asked me, said, what do you do when you're not doing music? And I'm like, I don't understand the question. So it's kind of like that. I try to do lots and lots of liquids, no ice in anything. No ice in anything. I'm a paleo person, so I don't do any dairy, or I mean no dairy. I don't do any of that. But you just got to do what works for you. And I and I think the biggest thing that I do every day is every day when I rise, I wake up so grateful.
Twofold question. First one, this is the easy one. What's your favorite genre of music? And the second one is, I was a music teacher for 30 years. I taught everything from kindergarten to continuation high school. And my favorite grade level now is third grade. It used to be fifth grade, but they're getting smarter, or I'm getting slower. I don't know what it is. But what's your favorite grade level and why?
I have literally taught everybody from little bitties to PhD candidates. Um, and it really, really depends. It really, really depends. With my little kids choir, the first, second, and third graders, they just tickled me. I wrote all of their music actually. But what I loved about them was that they, at that age, they will spontaneous combust. And when I was directing the children's choir, I had all of these, I had a song that everybody would learn because it was our morning song. It was written by my friend Terry Garthwaite, and it was our morning song. So I'm driving down the street, waiting at a stoplight by Cleveland Elementary in Oakland, and I'm waiting there for the light to turn, and there's like 60 little kids there, and they're all like, they're like on a walk in the neighborhood. They see me. They start jumping up and down, and they start, this is the big, they start singing in the street, and the teachers that are with them are like, what is happening with these children? They just started, they spontaneously combusted. And I thought, if I die right now, I'm good. And that's first, second, and third graders. I feel you over there with that. So I love that. I loved, actually, I loved all of it. I got to teach as part of my thing at UC Berkeley at the in East Oakland at the high school for teenage parents. So mostly African American and young Latinx moms and one dad. And we would make, I would have them bring their kids, their babies, to sing for them and to sing to them. And we would write songs, and I would make sure, well, like we were doing a jazz unit. So I had them, we did What a Wonderful World. And I had all of the Spanish speaking kids do a translation, and they had to agree. Because I said, I want you to sing in your own language to your children, and then you have to turn around and teach this to the Black kids so that they can do the same. So I loved that too. I mean, so I have these teenagers who are teenage parents and their babies, you know, and it's really strange to be in a room with somebody who's 14 years old with twins, you know, and giving them tools to try to deal with this. So I love that age too, you know. So baby, I feel you, but I kind of fond of just about all of them, you know. And my favorite genre is right now at this moment, everything. I mean, it's just true. I mean, you know, it all if it comes from the heart, I'm down. I'm down with it.
Questions? In the back.
Done anything with Up with People?
Up with people. No, I've not done anything up with people, but a lot of other organizations and choirs and groups like that. Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? Lynn?
Right here.
So, do you also do hip hop?
I have done hip hop actually. I used to teach a course with my kids when I was a California artist in resident. I would make the kids, they had to write hip hop pieces honoring historical Black figures. And like one of my kids, whose name was Alvin Curtin III, whose best friend was Marv. They were both, both of them ended up in the Oakland Youth Course. And you know, that was back in the day when the kids would shave their names in their hair. Al comes up to me, Alvin Curtin III, and he says to me, he says, hey, Melanie, look at this. I said, Alvin, how do you spell your name? He said, Alvin. I said, Alvin, who did that for you? He said, Marv. I said, Alvin, you know Marv can't spell. Albin. He's like, oh, man. But Alvin's, his hip hop verse was about Harriet Tubman. And so I said, it has to be educational because you're going to teach it to younger people. And I said, Alvin, what does Harriet Tubman have to do with a microwave? He said, she really cooked. I said, okay. So yeah, hip hop was the thing. Yes, that was the thing. We have one more back. We have another one back there, and then
Right in the back.
we'll have yeah, I was like, a microwave, Al? He said, yeah, she really cooked. I said, okay.
Thank you so much for being here, Melanie. I really appreciate it. This has nothing to do with music, but I can't stop thinking of your younger sister,
Okay.
Karen. How is she doing after losing her?
Karen, my sister Karen, is a middle school math teacher. Okay, for almost 40 years. Middle school math. Take a moment. She is a badass mama jamma. And she misses Drina every single day, but she is her love. She is a math activist, and she works with people that people think can't do math. And then she gets them to do math and do it really well. So that's Karen. She's doing just fine.
Do we have any other questions? Melanie, we're going to let you finish off the
Let's
program.
finish this with Lead with Love. There will be hand clapping and lots of this. Call and response, you'll get it. And this song, before I do it, I wrote this song the day after the 2016 election. Yes, I was doing a residency in Minneapolis with Minneapolis and St. Paul, so with a middle school in both of those places and a high school in both of those places and a professional choir, preparing for a big concert called Sanctuary, premiering a big piece that I wrote. So I was going to rehearsal at the St. Paul's middle school. Walked in, and I was stopped by two black kids who said, "Miss Melanie, does this mean we're going to be slaves again?" Seriously, they were terrified. And all of my kids who were from, whose grandparents were from Mexico and different places, they thought that that the police were going to come and take away their grandmothers. They were terrified. I said, first of all, they're going to have to get through me to get to you. I said, second of all, there are more people with you than against you. There are more people with you than against you. I talked to these kids about the gutting of the Voting Rights Act, which had happened in 2013, because I believe in talking to kids about what's really going on. So I talked to them about that. And he said, that's why you see all this red. I talked to them about what the Voting Rights Act was, what was taken out, which is how they could change the rules for people to vote, which is what we're dealing with now. I talked to them about the Electoral College being built on race and class. And we are the last major democracy that has something like the Electoral College. Other ones used to have it, they've dropped it. And I said, okay, I want you to think about people like Dolores Huerta, Malcolm X, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Mandela, Mother Teresa, different people. They all started all their movements out of the love of their people, not out of the hatred of someone else. So you got to lead with love. We did our rehearsal. That night, I was going to Edina, which is the richest part of the state of Minnesota. And at a church called the Good Samaritan Church, they call themselves the Good Sams. And their music director at their church is the associate director of the professional choir I was working with, and his family was the only black family in that church. When we walked into rehearsal, about 65 folks, they took one look at me and GPS, and they just burst into tears. They were so unhappy, so sad by the outcome of the election. And in between those two things, I wrote Lead with Love. And now the song has gone everywhere. And here's how it goes, clapping, singing with me. Come on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other, sing, and lead with love. Come on. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put, come on, the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. So we gotta put in front of the other and lead with love. Put and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other, and lead with love. I know you're scared, and I'm scared too. But here I am, right next to you. So we gotta put one in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. We gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. Put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. And lead with love. Come on. And lead with love. And lead. Come on. With love. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for having me with you today.
Thank you, Melanie, for
Take
such an
care of
inspiring,
yourselves. Take care.
inspiring Sunday.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you
Thank
so much.
And we'll see you next week here at Oakmont Sunday Symposium.
Yay!